साइलेंट हिल। जब 1999 में इस गेम को लॉन्च करा गया था, it was one of the most influential horror games of all time. As Resident Evil 4 was for third-person action games, Silent Hill was for horror games. What's even crazy to think that this game was made by a very small team, consisting of employees who were considered inexperienced and failures. With the release of this game, Team Silent became Konami's second most important studio, and as a result, budget as well as dev team was increased and expanded. And just 1 year after the release, development on the sequel began. A sequel that eventually became not only the greatest PS2 horror game of all time, but also greatest psychological horror game of all time. So, let's enter the hell once again. Because, in my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill.
Could you really be in this town?
It doesn't matter who I am. I'm here for you, James.
Lost? No. Don't pity me. I'm not worth it.
Killing a person ain't no big deal. Just put the gun to their head.
She even showed me all her pictures. She really wanted to come back. Huh? I must have dropped it.
Laura.
I gotta find it.
Now, when it comes to Silent Hill 2, it's not a story continuation of Silent Hill 1. Instead, it is a completely separate game on its own. Which means even if you haven't played the first game, you are good to go. Story start होती है जेम्स संडरलैंड से, जिसे recently अपनी वाइफ का एक लेटर मिला है asking him to arrive in Silent Hill at their special place. But the catch is, his wife Mary is already dead and has been since 3 years. With the change in story comes a heavy tonal shift. Silent Hill 2 tells a very depressing and emotional story. A story that can make you cry at many moments. The way the character models are designed, the way characters behave and talk to each other, you can really feel that sense of depression and darkness. And even the town of Silent Hill goes for this emotional tone. Remember मैंने अपने Silent Hill के रिव्यू में कहा था कि each and every enemy in that game had purpose and symbolism. Silent Hill 2 takes it one step further. Not only each and every enemy has now a deeper meaning to them, but also each and every character in the story sees the town and enemies differently depending on their psyche. Like Angela, who murdered her father and brother जो कि उसे sexually abuse करते थे, sees the town burning in flames until she is consumed by it. Whereas Laura, who is an innocent child, do not see monsters at all. James sees every monster in a twisted way, and he also sees this guy called Pyramid Head, जो कि सीरीज का काफी iconic monster है. When you first time meet this guy, you literally witness him raping a monster, and it was very disturbing. He also encounters Maria, who is slightly hotter version of Mary. As you progress through the game, तुम्हें पता चलेगा why she behaves and looks the way she is, why you encounter Pyramid Head on regular basis, what exactly he symbolizes, why you encountered him doing this type of stuff, and why he walks at slow pace. Each and every character in this game is witnessing a nightmare of his own. Also, Silent Hill 2 fixes the main story issue I had with the first game, and that is how each and every boss in this game has some significance to the story. Whereas in the original, they were there for no good reason except for the final boss, of course. Silent Hill 2 focuses on two themes. मैं तुम्हें पहली theme reveal नहीं करूंगा because it can eventually spoil the story. The second theme is pain, and how it can change a person, how it can make them more aggressive, how it can make them weak and traumatized for life. Also, the trend of multiple endings continues in this game as well. There are a total of 6 endings in the game, 3 of which are main endings and other 3 are unlockable endings. This is where the genius of Silent Hill 2 lies. देखो कोई modern games and even some retro games multiple endings को choices and exploration के through handle करती हैं. Personally मैं इसके against नहीं हूँ, लेकिन यार मैं कह रहा हूँ कि कई games में you are kinda aware कि कौन सी choices might lead to good or bad ending. And when it comes to exploration stuff, some games will say, dude, do this side quest and get the good ending as a reward. जबकि Silent Hill 2 goes nuts with multiple endings. These endings require you to do an extreme level roleplay as James. Depending on how you treat James, other characters in the story, and various objects, you will get different endings. One ending requires you to constantly examine Mary's letter and photo, while the other ending requires you to remain on low health through maximum of the game. Sorry, I avoided it as much as I can, लेकिन अभी मुझे spoiler देने पड़ेंगे, so a quick spoiler warning. One of the ending in the game is called in-water ending, and some criterias for it are to remain on low health through majority of the game and examine Angela's knife from which she tried to took her own life. This will eventually result in James taking his own life at the end. Game takes low health as a sign of being reckless and not caring about your life. सिर्फ इतना ही नहीं, the ending you get will define James कैसा person बन के निकलेगा at the end. He can either come up as a poor husband who loves his wife and will do anything to unite with her again, or he can come up as a selfish man who just cares about himself and his desires. Another great thing about the endings are, none of them are labeled as good or bad ones. Instead, game leaves the room for interpretation, which means तुम्हारे लिए good और bad ending अलग हो सकती है और मेरे लिए अलग. The game also have other two main endings called Leave and Maria. इसके अलावा game also have three bonus endings, namely Rebirth, while other two are joke endings. सबसे पहली joke ending है UFO ending, जहाँ पर इस बार aliens जेम्स को उठा के ले जाएंगे, but the twist is हैरी उनके साथ आएगा. While the other ending is dog ending, जहाँ पर तुम्हें पता चलता है कि every shit that you have been seeing was a dog's work. बट एक बात याद रहे कि तुम इन बोनस एंडिंग्स को सिर्फ और सिर्फ अपने पहले प्लेथ्रू के बाद ही अनलॉक कर सकते हो. लेकिन रुको, नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट नेगेटिव्स, एंड दैट इज वॉइस एक्टिंग. अब यार वॉइस एक्टिंग वर्क्स फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ द पार्ट एंड इन अ वे इट वाज इंटेंडेड, बट देयर आर सम पार्ट्स वेयर इट कैन बी लाफेबली बैड, लाइक दिस सीन विद एडी. Rather than coming up something as effective, it comes up as a comedy show, and the boss fight makes it even worse. या फिर this scene. See, this scene was actually effective because इसमें तुम्हें pyramid head के बारे में एक important revelation मिलती है, लेकिन just this one scream killed the whole scene for me. But overall, this story is a masterpiece. It's cleverly made and beautifully put together. लेकिन the game,